I like to think of myself as a fairly stoic man, only requiring the essentials in life: food, water, and the pursuit of a hot bod. Unfortunately, even the simplest necessities become difficult to obtain when one dwells within the harshest environment known to man: public universities. Thinking back, I had no goddamn idea what I was getting myself into. What the hell was I thinking taking morning classes? I knew damn well that it takes 5 minutes to eat instant ramen, another 5 to get ready, yet another 5 for the ride there, and none of which would have mattered cause class already started 30 minutes ago. That being said, no matter how the rest of the day went, the moment that clock hits 4 p.m. sharp, you could always see me working out. Cause I might not understand integrals, but I'll be damned if I can't do dumbbell curls. Just remember to subscribe if you want to put this in your IG bio, or I will sue. Modern academia doesn't really concern itself with physical health in any way anymore. Like, if you saw a pale, sleep-deprived man shambling through your local park back at home, you'd probably assume he was terminally ill and be rightfully concerned. If it was a university campus, however, there's a decent chance he just teaches organic chemistry. If you were to take a look back into early history, you'd see that physical and intellectual growth weren't always separate pursuits. Case in point, the ancient Greeks. They believed that a capable mind is ought to be accompanied by a capable body, meaning that their philosophers probably looked less like Terence Tao and more like Kyriakos Grizzly. This brain and brawn way of thinking was reflected in the Green Gymnasium, which served both as training grounds and centers of philosophy and education, a concept that I found extremely inspiring upon first reading, right up until I remembered that the word gymnasium roughly translates to place of nakedness, cause the training was typically done in the nude. Despite my best efforts, however, I was unable to determine whether the philosophy lessons were conducted clothed or not. But these were the people who invented geometry, so clearly something was working. Another invention of the Greeks were these things: the halteres. Excluding a few minor details, they're pretty much the dumbbells that we would see and use today. Invention is no substitute for understanding, however, as evidenced by these things never being used to do lat races. Instead, the halteres were used by Olympians to get a couple of inches more out of their long jumps. It would take an extra 500 years, but finally one guy went, and nothing was ever the same. In a book one guy wrote back in the 2nd century BC, there are descriptions of 3 exercises that can be done using the halteres, that being curls, lunges, and deadlifts. The bicep curl is pretty much the one we used to doing pre-Jeff Nippert, but the others are a lot more interesting. Lunges involved extending the arms forward throughout the movement, and the deadlift appears to have consisted primarily of aggressively bending and straightening the lower back. The boys over at the philosophy corner sure do love it when leg day comes around. Going to college was never really something that my family was known to be good at, and so, despite a rocky start, they still found it to be some grounds for a celebration. As a sort of dorm room warming gift, they got me a 30kg adjustable dumbbell set. It was an Asian parent gift, mind you, so it still costed me everything that I've saved up, but boy were these things worth every penny. See, I'd been working out since I was 12, but I've never had any access to any actual equipment, which meant that my workouts mostly consisted of doing the same repetitive movements over and over again until something started hurting. Having equipment completely changed the game. Suddenly, I could hit spots I could never hit before, work from different angles, experiment with different grips and positions, achieve entirely new kinds of soreness. It was revolutionary. Oh, and I guess the dumbbells let me do curls. Perhaps the most important thing was that they allowed me to train every major muscle group while still fitting neatly into a cramped 3x3 dorm room. In fact, I'd argue that even with the thousands of new equipments being invented yearly, few comes close to the effectiveness of the humble adjustable dumbbell set. They're just 2 weights at the end of a stick, so it didn't take long for our monkey noggin to figure it out. The halteres I've shown you don't really fit the picture, but the origin is still very ancient, as you can see here in this issue of Old Timey Nudie magazine. Then nothing happened for a long time until this design came to be used in the 1700s. Note, however, that these were never called dumbbells. Instead, at the time, these were called dumbbells. What in the heck and how many what is it? Well, it's exactly what the name implies. It's an apparatus similar to that being used to ring a church bell, but without the bells, so noiseless or dumb. How exactly did this name got associated with that instead? Well, after intense amounts of research, all I can say is, but it did happen, which is weird. Imagine going to the future and for some reason you opt to ask for a burger and they just start joking it. The dumbbells that were made around these times were globular and entirely made out of steel, meaning that the weights of them are fixed. There were designs that had these globes hollowed out so you can just adjust them by filling them with sand, but neither one was commercially available. You had to commission someone or make it yourself. And once more, lifting heavy was ruled by the strongman. To turn the dumbbell into a skinny broke boy's personal gym, it needed a design revamp. It is for that reason that from henceforth, I shall be ending my workouts with a prayer of gratitude to Mr. George Barker Winship, the man who in 1895 penned this design for an adjustable, plate-based dumbbell. Still heavily inspired by the typical designs at the time, but standardize the weights and you would get my actual dumbbell set. I don't use it as often as I did ever since I got a gym membership, but I'm still getting some mileage out of it here and there because I can keep up with payments every month. Or maybe it rained, or I only have time between classes, or it was one of those days where I have to come back to my dorm around midnight. In those times, I won't have to worry about missing a workout because it's always somewhere around the corner. But with that, I got nothing else for ya. See you next time. Nuts.